When it comes to accusing somebody of lying, there are two issues. Number one, did they know that they were saying something that was untrue? And indeed, was it untrue? And Rishi Sunak could, of course, claim that he didn't know it was untrue. This is the £2,000 tax. Or he could claim that he was stupid. Or he could claim, well, he could just go quiet. At the moment, he's just gone quiet, hasn't he? And Gus O'Donnell, the former permanent secretary of the Treasury, has commented on the issue and said that very often there are dodgy figures, unreliable figures used. He emphasized the importance of basing politics on sound evidence and cautioned against the use of misleading data to support political arguments. This is about the necessity for rigorous and transparent analysis in policymaking, particularly when it involves significant fiscal decisions that impact public trust, economic stability, and that in many ways recall the sort of hand gestures of Liz Truss and the extraordinary claims that Liz Truss made and that she imposed through Kwasi Kwarteng. The broader critique is about politicians and civil servants who must ensure that their projections and their claims are grounded in robust and transparent methodologies to avoid misleading the public. And the problem with last night's debate was how selective the information was, how evasive the information was, and how brief the comments were. Really, I mean, they did go on, but there wasn't enough time to deal with the issues. For example, Scotland didn't even get a look in, which has upset people. And I don't think even Farage's entry into the race really got any significant comment. The latest YouGov poll, for example, reveals that Reform UK, that's the effort now led by Nigel Farage, has surged to within 2 points of the Conservatives. Now, does that highlight significant voter dissatisfaction with the current government, or does it highlight the astonishing name recognition of Nigel Farage? There are so many. You could put cheddar cheese there, and it would probably get more votes than Sunak or Starmer. And don't you find sometimes it's very difficult to say Sunak and Starmer because the names are almost interchangeable, as indeed are many of the comments. This surge in blandness is challenged by Farage. Oh, I don't care whether somebody's showered me with milkshake. Pretty, it wasn't beer. The woman who threw the milkshake, the banana milkshake, at him, from a McDonald's milkshake, incidentally, has now been charged with assault after allegedly throwing this milkshake. Let's say that, because although there does seem to be photographic evidence, bibbity bobbity boo, it could have been anything, and it would need to be proven in a court. As indeed, I suppose, if it comes to it, we can only say that Rishi Sunak allegedly lied when he talked about the £2,000 tax that is awaiting us all should Keir Starmer become Prime Minister. But he will become Prime Minister, so maybe we just have to brace ourselves. And would a £2,000 increase in tax be such a penalty for an improved life? I don't know whether I could afford another £2,000 in tax. I don't think I can. The other day I had my mobile phone stolen, and I thought, okay, I'm insured, and I rang up the insurance people, and they were very accommodating and said, oh, you don't need an EMEI number, whatever it's called. you don't need that, and yeah, we'll process the thing. So I went off and I got another phone. And then a few days later, about a week, 2 weeks later, suddenly I was getting demands from the insurance company, Admiral, that they did need this number after all, and they weren't going to do anything. And this morning I had a very interesting conversation from a lovely lady from Admiral, because I'd made 3 complaints about the way they handled this. The first complaint being that the person who initially took my call when I was distressed that somebody had stolen the phone had indeed assured me that I didn't need these things, which apparently is untrue. But rather than then process the claim, the insurance company offered me compensation for that misdirection, and then said because I didn't have the number, they couldn't process the claim. It's nonsensical. And I raised a few other issues about how one of their agents called me and started sort of haranguing me down the street about the EMI number and various bits of jargon, which I didn't really understand particularly, as I'd been assured I didn't need this. And yes, they agreed that he was talking over me and using absurd jargon and trying to browbeat me. And there was another issue. I can't what that was, but this attitude is just wrong. So if somebody who has been trained badly or behaves badly for a company and misleads the client, me, then I have to pay for their stupidity, the company's stupidity in not training people properly, and that company puts forward ideas. They say they're mistaken, they say they're not correct. Well, fine. But on the basis of that, I got another phone. I didn't need to. I could have got a much cheaper phone. I could have saved myself some money, but I was assured that my phone was covered. And that assurance was misplaced. And I'm not sure I can take many more of these hits because, I just get on with my life. I have a little bit of teaching, and I do a little bit of YouTubing, and otherwise I spend my days making animated films that don't really make any money, and I scrimp and save, and I find it frustrating when big businesses say one thing and then do another. And when people who owe me money don't pay me, it's frustrating. And you think, my goodness, there's only so much I can scrimp and save. There's only so many ways I can tighten my belt to avoid disaster. And as I say, I don't know whether I could afford a £2,000 tax rise. I can barely afford to heat, to pay for heating. I can barely afford that, and I live very frugally. I eat very frugally. I don't go out to the pub. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm lucky from that point of view. But why should we have to pay so much tax for so little service? I suppose that's the issue. Why should we be paying insurance when we don't get it, when we need it? Why should we be underpinning other people's, big businesses' lies? At what point do we stand up and we say, well, I'll pay if you're trustworthy? Because when somebody says one thing and does another, I don't think they're trustworthy. I certainly wouldn't recommend that anybody uses Admiral insurance, and I'm very seriously thinking about cancelling mine. Why should I trust these people? In the same way, why should I trust O2? O2 had me going all the way across the town to a shop which didn't exist. It had closed down a year ago or so. They had me traipsing all the way across town, schlepping across town for no reason at all. Madness. And, you spend 2 hours, 3 hours on the phone to these people trying to get through. And it's a misery. Why do we pay? Why do we pay for that level of contempt and for the misinformation again and again and again?